Thank you for listening to this podcast from TRE, Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain and around the world. For more information, please visit tre.radio.
En Camino with Kid Hogg.
Hello, good morning and welcome in Camino with me, Kit Hogg, and with Janie Jewson.
Good morning.
On this bonny April morning, Saturday the 11th of the month. I hope you're well this weekend. On the episode today, we visit a fertility festival in Japan, a 200-year-old tortoise called Jonathan, an unfortunate incident in a Banbury supermarket, and are the Germans, enamoured with the island as they are, renaming Mallorca? Now, I'll always remember the endearing image my history teacher painted of George III, the King of England from 1760 to 1820, who in the early years of his derangement was one lunchtime, he was bemused to be given an apple pie for his pudding and questioned the cook at length just how the apples had got into the pie. He couldn't understand how the apples were there. And it was during George's reign, 250 years ago, back in 1776, that the Americans successfully sent the Brits packing in the War of Independence. On En Camino today, we take the opportunity to contrast Mad King George, the then ruler of America, with the current incumbent, Donald Trump. Kate Sermon joins us to talk about the interminable red tape that she's webbed in as a post-Brexit Brit trying to become legal here in Spain, while I drive across Germany and Poland on my way to Ukraine. So buckle up and make yourself comfortable.
En Camino with Kid Hogg.
But let's talk about the Easter Bunny Festival. I know it was Easter last week, but in the backwash of the Easter Bunny, which we talked about, from our friend of the show, Edgistos Papadopoulos, who listens from Saloniki in Greece. So thanks for that, Egg. But he sent us some disturbing news that bunny rabbits were not always benignly bunny.
No, they were not, apparently. There's a dark side to our bunnies. The medieval rabbit was something else entirely. Not chocolate, not sweet, but illustrated throughout the 13th and 14th century illuminated manuscripts held in the British Library and the Biblioteca de Verdun, some extraordinary images on the margins of these documents. Rabbits, enormous, furious, heavily armed rabbits wielding axes at kings.
How terrible. That's terrifying.
I mean, laying siege to castles, shooting hunters in the spine with bows and arrows, tying them up, hauling them before a rabbit judge, receiving a guilty verdict and joyfully beheading them. There were rabbits roasting hunters over open fires and boiling their hounds. I mean, this is just so dark. One rabbit in the Smithfield Decretals, illuminated in London in the 1340s, presides over an entire multi-page revenge sequence that unfolds like a comic strip across the manuscript margins. It is extraordinarily violent, meticulously illustrated, and clearly someone's idea of a very good joke.
Sounds like a nightmare.
It does. I mean, but why? I mean, these images are called drolleries, and they belong to a tradition that peaked between 1250 and the 15th century. They're drawn in the margins of serious religious texts by the monks who were copying them.
Well, it's sort of doodles.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that is... it was a concept called Le Monde Renversé, the world turned upside down.
Aha.
Medieval artists loved depicting reality in reverse. So, hunters being hunted, prey becoming predator, the powerful made powerless. Rabbits, being the most docile and frequently eaten animals in the medieval world, were the perfect candidates for this role reversal. In real life, of course, they were on the menu at every feast and hunted daily with dogs and arrows. In the margins of these manuscripts, they got their revenge in spectacular and extremely graphic fashion. The earliest known killer rabbit found in one of the documents from around 1170 shows 2 rabbits who have hanged a human hunter and are standing on their hind legs, pointing and jeering at the body. I think this is brilliant.
They're nearly 1,000 years old.
Yeah, 1,000 years, but
these
not
scary rabbits.
Not everyone found this funny. I mean, the Cistercian monk Bernard of Clairvaux apparently complained about these doodles in the terms that they felt in ways that actually feels remarkably modern nowadays, asking what are these ridiculous monstrosities doing in the cloisters, and what purpose was served by such unclean images of monkeys, fierce lions, monstrous centaurs. He also noted with some irritation that even if the foolishness caused no shame, one might at least balk at the expense. And he had a point. It was very costly.
Yes, well, I suppose they're defacing these holy manuscripts by doodling in the margins.
Exactly.
Obscene rabbits.
So time was being wasted and money on manuscripts decorated with rabbits committing war crimes.
Right. Well, so much for the not-so-cuddly bunny rabbits. But still talking of Easter things, the Cornell Lab, or ornithology, pays homage to the humble, beautiful egg. If you think about eggs, they are extraordinary. I mean, there's so many being laid in nests at this time of year.
And so many different sizes and colours and patterns and glorious.
That's right. There's a whole significance, apparently, as to the colour of an egg and the decoration of an egg. And I haven't been into it, but I just touch on it. And, of course, eggs, and maybe we can go into it in more depth another time, maybe next week, Janie. What are eggs and why are they so egg-shaped?
Well, they easy exit, perhaps?
Yeah, absolutely. They're quite streamlined, aren't they?
They are, yes.
Yeah, right. I suppose provided you get the thin end out first. Anyway.
Yeah.
and out of the bird plops the egg into a nest. And that's another interesting thing that I just want to touch on now. How diverse are nests? They can be little more than a scrape in the ground, or they can be as elaborate as, well, one of our stork's nests that we see around here. Yes. Or as a 1-ton bald eagle nest, which are apparently enormous nests that you find in the States. They weigh a ton.
Good Lord, that's incredible. I've also seen little nests recently coming up on my Instagram and Facebook things. So birds actually sewing nests up. They make a little cocoon for themselves hanging off a branch, and they actually weave these things as if it has been hand sewn by a human being. It's extraordinary.
And have you heard the dawn chorus yet this spring, Janie?
Oh, darling, I only have a few birds in my garden, but yes, I do sometimes.
Well, I tell you what, yesterday I sat in the paddock in the campo, and it was one of these soft grey evenings. It was very beautiful and very soft. And I've got this app on my phone called the Merlin app. Now, if you ever want to identify birdsong, do download the Merlin app.
Okay.
Which I've done, and I'm not technical at all, and I've got it on my phone. And all we do is press the Merlin app, and up comes all the birds. First of all, the recording, and the app tells you what is being recorded. And yesterday, in 5 minutes, I got, as well as the nightingale, which was sort of dominant, the Eurasian blackbird, the Spanish sparrow, the house sparrow, the European greenfinch, the Eurasian collared dove, the great tit, and 2 birds with leg abnormalities, the Eurasian thick knee, and the short-toed treekeeper.
Okay, and your app actually identified them amongst the cacophony of birdsong.
And the traffic and the barking dogs. I mean, there was distant traffic, distant barking dogs. Weirdly, it didn't log the turkeys next door, which were going like that. But it didn't. I just thought, why don't you log a turkey? But it's obviously not programmed to log turkeys.
No, that sounds fascinating. So you've got beautiful birdsong going on at your house.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
so jealous.
The nightingales this year are just.
I'm so jealous.
Liquid sound. So yeah. Now on Camino, it's time for our brief weekly roundup of events around the world. From the journal Japan Today comes the eye-catching headline, Revelers Parade Giant Penises in Japan's Fertility Festival. The town of Kawasaki, which I believe is a suburb of Tokyo, Japan's annual fertility festival is called Kanamara, and it features exotically dressed devotees carrying a trio of giant phalluses as they parade through the streets with glee. The celebration honours a local blacksmith from the Edo period of Japanese history, which was quite a long period. It lasted from 1603 to 1868. And this blacksmith forged an iron dildo to break the teeth of a sharp-fanged demon who inhabited women's vaginas.
As you do.
The demon had been implicated in the castration of young men on their wedding nights. How unfortunate. Ow. Today, a 1 metre phallus of black steel sits in the courtyard of Kanayama Shrine, honouring the Shinto deities of fertility, childbirth, and invoking protection from sexually transmitted diseases. It's been at this shrine that for centuries sex workers have pilgrimaged to seek protection in the days before Kanamara became a fertility rite for destigmatizing sex. I hope that this festival will disabuse people of the notion that sex is bad, a bad, dirty thing, says Chief Priest Hayoroku Nakamura.
I'd say they've made it sound even more terrifying. And it's such an enormous...
well, you would know. I mean, if you look at the photos in Japan today, that everyone's having a ball behind these giant penises.
Is this set in a sort of park? I think I've seen images of that.
And it's tied in, I think, with the cherry blossom, because the Japanese go loco for cherry blossom.
They go well together.
But there's an agenda here, and I think it's government promoted, because the stats for 2025 last year reveal that Japan's birth rate has dropped for the 10th successive year. Only 700,000 babies born, down 2.1% from 2024.
Oh, dear. Well, it's not working then, is it?
The population here in Japan is actually diminishing. So if you're Japanese, don't say, I've got a headache tonight. Say, more sex, please. We are Japanese. Meanwhile, in Blighty, an unfortunate recent occurrence in the town of Banbury. You know Banbury, don't you, Jenny?
That's where I got my train from to the airport a couple of weeks ago.
We talked about Banbury last week.
We did, and I went to college there.
Banbury definitely in the news recently. From Banbury comes this headline in the Metro newspaper. Mystery pooper hunted after woman defecates in the range.
Oh, my. In the range?
In the range, yeah. The range in capital letters. The range is apparently a shop.
OK, not a golf course.
So I'm quoting this. The paper is reporting that police are hunting a woman who allegedly defecated on a shelf in a shop before walking out without a care in the world. The mishap occurred at 1:40 p.m, the 25th of March. The suspect departed the scene, leaving staff with an unwelcome surprise in the aisle. It's not known what prompted the visit to the home furnishing store, which also sells homeware and garden furniture. CCTV shows a woman wearing a pink jacket pulling a small suitcase. Investigating officer PC Robert Watson said, "We're looking to identify the individual in the CCTV image, as we believe they may have information that could help us with our investigation."
Are you sure this wasn't an April Fool's?
Yeah, well, it's not dated April, Jenny. It's dated the 25th of March.
Oh, my goodness.
No, and it comes from a thoroughly respected newsletter called Intrigue, which is a roundup of the world's lighter news. And I just couldn't resist it. It was really?
It wasn't a mishap, was it? It sounds deliberate.
It does sound deliberate, yeah.
Maybe she was hallucinating and thought it was a toilet or something.
And it was actually a photo of her on CCTV. Leaving the premises with her little suitcase.
And it was a real one, not a fake one?
No, apparently it was all real.
The turd.
Yes.
Sorry.
Apparently it was. Moving on. Mallorca now, along with past rumours that they tried to buy the place. The Germans love to joke that the Balearic island Mallorca is Deutschland's 17th Bundesland. Bundesland is a province.
Yeah.
Given that 5 million Germans visit the island every year. Still, you can imagine the surprise when travellers recently opened Apple Maps to see Mallorca's famous Playa de Palma had been renamed Betrunken. And Betrunken is the German word for drunkards.
Drunkards? Drunkards.
Yeah, it means people who are drunk.
Yeah.
If you are a Betrunken in German, you've had a few too many.
Okay, so it's not the British sort of Magaluf crowd.
No, I guess this is a betrunken crowd who are occupying... God, right. Don't you feel sorry for Mallorca? I've forgotten about Magaluf. Is it called Magaluf?
Yes, Magaluf.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, there's absolutely no desire to go there at all. I actually have driven through there once on the way to a gig. Anyway, this representation on Apple Maps is a tongue-in-cheek prank for sure, but it does touch a nerve nonetheless, because Playa de Palma attracts an alcohol fuel crowd. And there's also growing sentiment here in Spain against over-tourism, particularly tourists behaving badly.
Yes, and there are a lot of stag do's and hen do's and people who come over and they just will absolutely go wild. I mean, I was sitting back on that plane back from the UK the other day, next to somebody, Spain, next to somebody who'd spent 3 days at a stag do, really getting wrecked. He had to sit near the toilet.
Yeah.
It was literally up and down the whole time. He was just...
What a state.
I know.
What a state. And last, but by no means least, the governor of St. Helena off the coast of Africa has issued an official statement confirming that, contrary to rumours being circulated as part of a crypto scam, Jonathan, a 200-year-old tortoise and the oldest resident of the island, is alive and well.
Yay!
There was a lovely photo of Jonathan doing his thing, which isn't very much, really, but... He at least had his head out of his shell, you know?
And he's enormous.
Yeah, he's a giant tortoise.
Yeah.
And
fantastic.
I think, they're obviously indigenous to the island.
I wonder if our tortoise is still alive. We did have one once when we were sort of at school, and it was given to an older lady to look after when, us children all left home. And then 40 years later, we got a letter from this lady saying Henry was still alive. And it was all in this tiny little handwriting.
Oh.
So this tortoise must have been, 50 years old by then. And now that was 20 years ago. So... They do live a long time, don't they? Yeah, they do live a long time. I mean, they're fairly uneventful pets, I have to say. My daughter Pod had a tortoise, and I think it was day 2, it sort of manoeuvred its way into the undergrowth and was never seen again. Could never find it. I mean, we did live in the bush, but, well, they live a slow life, don't they?
Yeah, that's why. Probably why they last so long.
Absolutely.
So maybe that's a hint for us.
Nothing to get stressed out
if you want to last any longer. Alexandria Myers tweets, shouldn't the dumbest human on the planet and the President of the United States be 2 different people? Expanding on this theme and writing in the Irish Times last Tuesday, Fintan O'Toole contrasts Donald Trump with Mad King George. He says, this being the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, Americans can recall the king their revolution deposed, the hapless George III. Fanny Burner Burney, the novelist and lady-in-waiting to the Queen, came across him unexpectedly one evening in October 1776. This was the beginning of his illness. He spoke to her in a manner so uncommon, she says, that a high fever alone could account for it. A rapidity, a hoarseness of voice, a volubility, an earnestness, a vehemence. Rather, it startled me inexpressibly. Over the coming weeks, poor George got worse. He talked in a rapid and endless stream of consciousness, at one point going on for 19 hours with scarce any intermission. He made obscene proposals to ladies-in-waiting. According to the historian Christopher Hibbert, King George gave orders to persons who didn't exist. He fancied London was flooded and commanded his yacht to go there immediately. He persuaded himself that he could see Hanover through Herschel's telescope. He composed dispatches to foreign courts on imaginary causes. He lavished honours on all who approached him, elevating to the highest dignity any occasional attendant. He had to be forced to have a bath, and after refusing to be shaved for a fortnight, he allowed the barber to attend to one side of his face, but not the other. Before his demented, expletive-laden Easter Sunday post, Donald Trump gave a televised address to explain to the nation and to the world why he launched a war on Iran. He said both that we totally obliterated Iran's nuclear sites last June, and then he said that by February, Iran was right at the doorstep of not just possessing a nuclear weapon, but having a nuclear weapon like nobody's ever seen before. A nuclear weapon like nobody's ever seen before? It's presumably some kind of fantastically destructive new technology. The Imperial Star Destroyer from Star Wars. The Daleks' weapons that could crack this planet like an egg. The Vogon constructor fleet that demolishes the Earth in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Or perhaps more aptly, the Soviet doomsday machine in Dr. Strangelove. But this is an actual US president explaining an actual war to his citizens in what is supposed to be a democracy. And what he's telling them is that Iran went from having no physical nuclear program left at all to being on the cusp of deploying an unprecedented nuclear weapon. And it did this in apparently something like 6 months. This would be one of the most astonishing technical achievements in all of history. But here's the thing. Trump wasn't lying. A lie in this context is something like the claims in the build-up to the US and British invasion of Iraq in 2003 that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction that he could launch at London at 45 minutes' notice. This was an outrageous deception, but it was at least rational. It was intended to be believed and to prepare citizens for the necessity of war. Trump's claim that Iran was about to create a new kind of nuclear weapon is nothing like that. It's not even intended to be believed. If it were, he would have produced some evidence and given some hint as to what this weapon was. So this is not lying, it's prattle. And this is what's so terrifying. The liar has a sense of purpose, while the prattler has none. Which is fine if the person who is prattling is sprouting random gibberish and is an unfortunate vagrant on the streets who hasn't been given his meds. But very much not fine when that person has control of a vast military machine, including a huge nuclear arsenal, and has so successfully surrounded himself with sycophants from Fox News that there's no one left to stop him using it. In the same address, Trump announced that America had no inflation, that the new regime he claims to have created in Iran is less radical and more reasonable, that there would have been no Middle East if he had not torn up the nuclear deal with Iran during his first term, that his attack on Venezuela is respected by everyone all over the world, and that the Strait of Hormuz will open up naturally. It will just open up naturally. All of this is prattle. It is not even wrong, for to rise to the level of wrongness, it would have to posit some relationship between words and reality. Trump isn't making this stuff up. It's making him up. The disordered words that come out of his mouth are creating his world. The terror is that it's a world that we share too. Back in 1788, the British court at least recognised that they were dealing with a mad king. The endless prattle, the lapses into obscenity, the lavishing of high offices on grossly unqualified people, the increasingly strange manner of speaking, the issuing of unenforceable commands, even the primitive state of 18th century psychiatry. Even then, these were unmistakable signs of derangement, as of course were the king's composing of dispatches to foreign courts on imaginary causes, a perfect description of Trump's demands that European states come to his aid in a war whose cause he explains with imaginary weapons. If this were a historical pageant, it would be quite touching. How nice of the US to reenact the agonies of the king they deposed some 250 years ago. But to complete the reenactment, they might also recall that even in the sycophantic atmosphere of a royal court, officials felt compelled to act. Eventually, poor King George was physically restrained. His mad doctor tied him up in a chair. How long before the US sees a similar act of dethronement?
En Camino with Kid Hogg.
Hello and welcome
so
back.
Sorry.
Have we got our guest, Jamie?
I think so. Is that Kate?
It is, yeah.
Was that Kate, the first person?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. I'm a little bit confused there. All right, we're not quite on air at this minute.
Yeah, we are on air.
Oh, are we?
We are on air.
We're on air.
And I'm now going to introduce our guest officially.
Very, very confusing. I'm terribly sorry.
Jamie, hold the mic closer to the...
I am. It's very close.
Okay, take two. In the backwash of the bright idea of Brexit, a number of us Brits have been lumbered with the onerous endeavour to become legal residents here in Spain. One of them joins us now. Kate Sermon, good morning to you.
Morning, Kit. How are you doing?
Good. Yeah, I'm doing good. And thank you very much for joining us. And I'm here with Janie.
Yes, messed
Hi,
that
Jane.
one up. Hello.
No, we did great. Kate, I know that you're involved in some sort of bureaucratic nightmare trying to become legal here in Spain. And I'm wondering how many listeners share your circumstance or know people who share your circumstance. I just thought we could possibly air it briefly. Can you start by telling us your situation, your circumstances?
Yeah, sure. Also start by saying I'm not a moaner, and think of myself as quite resilient, but it certainly gets the better of us. So I am a single mother to my son, who is now 4, and at the end of December 24, I managed to get myself a digital nomad visa, or get both of us a digital nomad visa, and moved to Spain a month later in January 25. So I've been here just over a year and now facing the renewal process.
Okay, can you explain to us what a digital nomad visa is, what that allows you to do, how long it allows you to stay?
It's a visa that allows you to stay in Spain if you are working remotely for a company that operates outside of Spain. It also allows you to earn up to 20% of your income in Spain.
Okay, does that mean that you're allowed to work for yourself, or you have to prove that you're working for, can you be freelance, or do you have to prove that you're working for, that you're employed, you're working for a company?
Either or, as far as I understand it, I am no expert, and this, I think, is the problem. I am self-employed, and I work freelance for a company that operate outside of Spain. You can also be employed, which I think would be easier, but you can be employed as well.
Okay.
As long as that company is operating outside of Spain.
So your objective in this procedure is to extend your digital nomad visa. Is that correct? Or are you looking to up your status in terms of residency?
So I I understood that I got the visa issued, and after 1 year, you need to renew it to get the visa for years 2 and 3, and then you can renew again for years 4 and 5. So that's what I'm doing at the moment, trying to renew to get a new nomad visa for years 2 and 3 of living in Spain.
Okay, so you'll be getting 2 years now.
Yeah.
And does this mean that you have to submit all the same documents as before?
Well, I thought the renewal process would be quite straightforward, Janie, that you just kind of prove all the things I've had to jump through hoops to prove already to get the visa in the first place. But it's not quite proving that way at the moment.
Have you had to start from scratch to get this extension?
Say that again, Kit.
Have you had to start from scratch?
Not from scratch, but it just seems, I mean, I have been fighting it for a little while. I'm not one to jump straight to sort of pay an advisor €1,500 because I'm simply not in a position to do that. So I've been researching and reading a lot about it. And the idea was to give myself plenty of lead time, so sort of start the process October, November. And through various reasons, I only managed to get the renewal in basically in February. First of all, you've got to have a digital certificado now, which is jumping through hoops just to get that. And then you have to that enables you to then get various documents that you need with that facility.
Okay, give us an example of some of the documents. Am I right in saying that you had to have a document of criminality from England?
The first one that I was questioning. So to get here in the first place, I needed what's called an ACRO, ACRO, and that's from the UK, just to basically say you're not a criminal.
Right.
So I got that, and you pay £70 for that, and it takes a month to come through the post.
Wow.
So I get that, and then you have to legally translate it because it's in English. So you get it translated at the cost of 11 cents a word to get it stamped and translated, and that's, another 40 quid or whatever. And then you have to get it, I don't know the right terminology, but apostilled or apostolized, I'm not sure the terminology.
Yeah. Apostille.
But you send that off to Hogg Apostle or a company in the UK, again taking time, and about £100 a document. So you're talking like over £200.
Yeah, I've got £210 so far.
One of the documents, and obviously you're doing tracked posts and all that kind of stuff.
So, Kate, sorry to interrupt you. Just sorry to interrupt you. Just going back to this criminality thing, you had a perfectly valid criminality thing for your affidavit for your first application.
Yeah.
And now you've had to redo it completely.
Check she's not knocked anybody off since.
This is what I was trying to be clever and try and work out, will I need another ACRO? Because mine was dated November 24. I came here January 25. So 2 months later I came to Spain. Do I need another ACRO? But surely I've not been living in the UK, therefore I don't need another British document costing £250 to tell me I'm not a criminal in England, where I'm not.
But you may have offended in the last 18 months. Is that not possible?
I read somewhere, various sources that are all differing, which is part of the problem, that I read that I needed a Spanish one. So I, got this digital certificado, which I've had to go to the village computer place that helps you, which is only open at certain times of day, and the internet's often down, and all these kind of things. And I managed to get myself this Spanish one after many weeks of attempting to get it. But I then find out that I actually haven't, because I've not lived in Spain for longer than 2 years, I do need the British one, the ACRO, again. So I've had to send off again for that at £250 circa, taking all the time to get. So that's one of the examples of the frustrations. And then there, for example, sort of 20 prongs of different things that you're fighting to get.
I'm so sorry you're going through this.
Yeah.
I mean, meanwhile, are you being sort of threatened with you're going to have to leave the country or anything?
Well, I get that. That is the fear, because, as I said before, I intended to get this this renewal in like October, November, because my visa ran out in January, and then you've then got the 90-day kind of buffer for just being a normal person visiting Spain. But literally, not through lack of trying, and I've been pulling my hair out, I didn't get the renewal in till February, and then it takes 21 days for them to come back with a decision. So basically, you can do the maths, but my visa ran out on the 3rd of April, and I'm now legally here because I've successfully undergoing the renewal process. But it's a little bit twitchy, the fact that so they've now come back, the situation right now is they've come back saying you've got 10 days to show X, Y, and Z, of which I met the deadline yesterday.
Phew, well done.
Hopefully with what they want. But literally, I'm fearful of leaving the country for not being allowed back in. And I just sort of moved house and got my child in a school here and all of the above that you can imagine. A little bit concerned about the answer that's going to come back.
Okay, I have to ask you, are you aware of the fact that 2 months ago, Pedro Sanchez, the Spanish premier, gave an amnesty to 500,000 people who were here undocumented, living here undocumented? Could you not be one of those? Do you know anything about that? Has anybody, any of your helpers told you about this?
I did see an article about that, and I did forward that to one of the advisors I've been trying to get to help me.
Yeah.
And I can't remember their response, but essentially it wasn't a helpful one.
Right.
To suggest that I could go under that umbrella. And I think that's a huge part of this problem with this nomad visa. It's quite new, and there are a lot of advisors that don't deal with it and actually don't know. And I've had so much different information. You need to go to Malaga and organise yourself to get to Malaga and childcare, and then Malaga say, oh, it's nothing to do with us. You need to do it online. And just that, again, another example of just like, it just wears you down. But I'm trying to stay positive.
I think that's the key, and actually to know that the time actually that it's taking them to get you to get the papers and you then to process them. Maybe it'll lapse for a while and they'll take one hell of a long time just trying to, if they decide to get you out, you wouldn't be able, they wouldn't even be able to enforce that.
No, darling, but the danger is that they wouldn't let you back in, as Kate's alluded to, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess I'd then appeal it. But then in this time, for instance, I have some of this freelance work in another country that's allows me to survive. Yeah, exactly. So I'm playing that one rather carefully because I really need to book the flight for it.
Yeah.
And that's at the end of next month. And I would just fear going and doing the job for 2 days and not being allowed to get back to my 4-year-old.
I completely get that. If it's any comfort, I have a friend excuse me, who's gone through similar, and they have finally got their papers.
Hurrah.
They went through a complete nightmare. She had, she needed to go to Moorfield Hospital in London for some eye treatment, and she was terrified she wouldn't be able to get back in. But she did, and it's all gone fine. So you've just got to try and look at it as positively as you possibly can.
Exactly, and it's all part of the story, right? Anything worth it is a struggle.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I just to wrap this up, Kate, when I was doing my TIE card, I basically entrusted it to a helpful professional, a historian. Is there not someone like that in your life?
Well, I think people do take care of it from the off, and you pay for that.
Yes.
I always try to come up with a healthy balance, and in this instance of this renewal, it's so important to me to get it. I did pay, a considerable amount of money to an advisor, an expat advisor, who has assisted, but they're also putting up barriers and actually said I shouldn't have got the digital nomad visa in the first place, and I kind of slipped through the net because I got it issued in England. I paid £1,500 for it for my son and myself, and I got it fair and square. So I don't know, the boundaries seem to be slightly different now we're in Spain. Whether they're just covering themselves, I don't know. But yes, there are people that can help, but there's a balance with, throwing unnecessary money or trying to work it out myself.
Absolutely.
I managed to do the NIE myself. I did nearly get arrested, but I managed to do it myself.
Okay, undaunted. Oh, well, look, Kate, we wish you all the best of luck. I wonder if any of our listeners who might be picking up on this and thinking, geez, yeah, I've had this, or wasn't Brexit a good idea? Yes. Listen, Kate, enjoy the golf. What can I say? Look, try and take your mind off this and enjoy the...
Come on, Rory.
Yeah, come on, Rory. I was going to say that. Yeah, wicked.
We've got three Brits in the top 5 at the moment, which is quite exciting for the US Masters.
How exciting! And you're a bit of a golfer yourself, aren't you?
We're salivating.
I like it. I know Kit glazes over actually with golf chat.
Yes, it's time for you to go away. Thank you. Thank you very much, Kate.
Thank you, Kate.
A pleasure.
Bye now.
Fingers crossed.
Okay. Bye.
On our road trip in Camino this week, we crossed Germany and Poland en route to Ukraine, delivering a Toyota Hilux and supplies to the military for the voluntary organisation Car for Ukraine. February the 13th, day 4 of the journey. In the backwash of a sleep-sparse night and a low-grade hangover, I would avoid the Ruhr. I would avoid it because there are other more benign landscapes to ease your head. The Ruhr pounds you like visual death metal. But it was bang through the Ruhr that the great carousel of traffic was carried by the surging Autobahn. Me and George Russell, flotsam propelled by a river in flood, deep into the pulsing heart of the German Industrial Revolution, a theme park opening like a Rammstein gig with the in-your-face furnace enormity of the Krupp steelworks. Past a procession of silo, tower crane and gantry, sucked as though by gravity toward the beckoning contaminant of a 60-metre-high chimney emitting a celestial duvet of white vapour, before the roller coaster wheeled us barrelling through a roofless tunnel of 4-metre-high ferro-concrete walls graffitied by words like Desperado. As the view opened out to another colony of cooling towers and factories, Desperado began to describe my mood. I needed an infusion of serious coffee and something comforting like a microwaved ham and cheese croissant. What is it with the Germans? There is no service station the entire length of the dystopian Ruhr, from the appealingly named town of Wankum on the Dutch border, through kilometres of coal, steel and mayhem manufacture, until you reach the blissfully un-Ruhr haven of Kassel, where, having paid €2 for the luxury of a lavatory, I ate road food, pouring a double espresso into the froth of a cappuccino. Ivan messaged me from Lviv, how's it going WhatsApp, that reminded me of my intention to buy his kids, Nazar and Solomia, presents. Diesel nozzled into George Russell. George Russell is the name of my truck, by the way. And then on into a shower curtain of drizzle, thawing bergs of grey slush roadside, old snow filling woodland hollows around skeletal trees. The rain lifted to reveal a landscape bleached by February, a skyline bulked by cloud, into which I set a route for Smythe's toy shop. Smythe's toy shop doesn't sound remotely German, but it had been promised me nonetheless somewhere on the southern fringes of Leipzig by my new friend Google Maps. It was located in a giant retail outlet, one of the uniform satellites that cling to the perimeter of metropoli worldwide. Having parked, I beat my way through sleet, past a Wurst sausage hot dog stand, into the hot breath of the Emporium where, in the dazzling enormity of Smythes, I chose a police car super truck for Nazar before standing in front of a bewildering pyramid of soft toys, wondering what to buy for the 6-month-old Solomia. A baby dinosaur caught my eye. "Do you want to come with me to Ukraine?" I asked, and she nodded. I filmed this exchange on my phone. Young mothers and their kids were staring. I picked up a Wurst sausage hot dog on my way back to George Russell. Then, in the gathering gloom, drove to Dresden and an unexpectedly posh hotel on the banks of the River Elbe, aptly named the Elbe Florenz. That evening, hoping to find a residue of Dresden's vivid past, I experienced only its present day, taking a tram from which I alighted in the lost identity of a pedestrian precinct where Arab youths were gathering in simmering confrontation with police-loaded vans.
En Camino with Kid Hogg.
Welcome back, and thank you to Angela Sharp for a message to Kate. She says, try Citizens Advice Spain. Meantime, it's going to have a bit of this. Yes, we all know what this is. It's the part of the show we call Things That Grow. And first off, some really good news. Baby boom at Doñana as 6 cubs arrive in one weekend. I'm talking about baby lynx. Breeding in captivity program gains an academic boost to its profile with the announcement of the Doñana chair at the University of Huelva. Mother Nature has not failed to deliver this year the El Asabuche Breeding Centre in the heart of Doñana National Park, where I've been actually, witnessed the birth of 6 baby lynxes this spring.
Oh, how wonderful.
And there's a picture of one gambling. You can't see it at home. I'm showing it to Janie. It's running about and it's just the cutest little thing.
How amazing.
So really good news for the lynx. Janie, you've got some an interesting observation about baby ducklings who aren't yet hatched or something?
Yes. Well, I've been watching David Attenborough's Secret Garden on BBC One, which is, we can get a bit bored with these things, but this one is absolutely fascinating. It's about our gardens, or rather the gardens in the UK, because he's nearly 100 years old. So, they're bringing in the wonderful filming capacity and the cameras that have been used all over.
Sorry to interrupt you. I saw a photo of him the other day as a young man on one of his first, because his cameraman died recently, a guy called Doug.
Yes.
And Doug took a shot of him as a young man rolling around in the bush with a gorilla.
That's right.
It was absolutely extraordinary. Go on.
Anyway, so this new series, which I thoroughly enjoyed, was this one was about an Oxfordshire garden, which is owned by a couple, a beautiful old house in a mill, which is surrounded by water. It has rivers going through on either side, so it's on this sort of little island, and it's studying the animals and creatures around the place, which of course the owners had observed but hadn't realised quite what was going on. Incredible! I mean, the birth of families of kingfishers, for example, and an otter that's now in residence. That it was filmed for the first time ever. A film of an otter actually hunting the baby ducklings, which was very sad. But before that, we saw the mallard duck having laid its eggs in a nest, very well hidden away. And these little eggs actually, as they've been sat on for however long they are, I don't recall, by the mother, but they're laid on different days. It was observed that these little baby ducklings inside the eggs communicate with each other. They twitter away at each other and then all hatch on the same day.
Oh, really?
Can you believe love that.
I'm
I
imagining
mean,
what they're saying to each other.
how charming is that? And they all
How are you
made it
doing in
through.
there? How are you doing in there?
All 9 ducklings made it through, and the otter didn't get them. So it was a very good story.
Oh, good. They escaped the otter. That's cool, yeah. Back in Spain, in El País, Miguel Ángel Medina writes that shepherds are earning up to €6,000 a year for clearing fire breaks with flocks of sheep and herds of goats. I just thought this was such a good idea.
Oh, what a good idea.
I mean, this is symbiotic, isn't it? It benefits everyone.
Yeah, got to keep them in a straight line, though.
Well, they're not like those fire breaks, no, but they will be breaking fire because basically they're not like those straight, horrendous kind of corridors that you see scarring sierras and from a distance. But this is in the Sierra Norte, and Miguel Ángel is with a shepherdess called Laura Martinez, who's being paid to graze her sheep in a designated area of the Montes. This is actually in the province of Madrid. The €5,000 she will earn, she says, is recognition of our work. But if Medio Ambiente Retenes had to do it, obviously it would cost them much more. She's 33. She runs a finca called La Caperuza, with her husband. She's got 150 goats, 25 sheep, 100 cows and calves, and they produce cheese, beef and kid meat. And the money they get from the fire break grazing helps to sustain their pastoral lives.
Wow, amazing.
Another take on rural living, there's a guy called Miguel Lucia, a 27-year-old from the vine country of La Rioja, has come up with a new non-alcoholic drink called Mostea, which is a sparkling grape juice that he claims is becoming a popular alternative to alcoholic wine. Mostea, not to be confused with Mosto.
No, exactly. And I mean, talking about fire breaks, Kit, I was driving here this morning and I cannot believe, I thought it was smoke everywhere, but it isn't. It's the Kalima. Isn't it? The Saharan dust is just covering this place.
I know. My car just keeps getting filthy.
It's incredible.
And I'm going to have to wash it because I'm trading it in on Monday or Tuesday. But anyway, that's another story. I will tell you about that next week if it all goes well. In the meantime, we're going to have to wrap this up because it is very nearly 12 o'clock.
I hope we all have a wonderful weekend and we shall see you next week.
Here. Here. What can I say?
What can you say?
Bye-bye now. God bless.
You've been listening to a TRE production. If you've enjoyed this program, there'll be another episode waiting for you next week, right here on this platform, where you can also access our extensive back catalogue of shows and interviews. For more information on our live programming, social media channels and apps, and how to contact Talk Radio Europe, please visit TRE.radio.